Over the past few months, I have been spending a lot of time in Guild Wars 2 scouring vanilla zones and trying to make gold in unconventional ways in locations that weren't really designed with gold making in mind. With every new map that has been introduced to the game, starting with Living World Season 2, gold making has been a major thought in each map. Some more than others, but back in vanilla, maps just weren't really designed in that way. It has been interesting trying to find some weird and wacky methods of padding our wallets, and I want to dedicate this video to looking at some more throughout the rest of Vanilla Guild Wars 2, so let's get started. Let's start off this list by looking at something that is pretty easy to understand. Unique items that you can find that you can basically just farm over and over. These are items that are specifically made for tasks that you can actually sell to other players on the trading post, making them pretty unique items in the game. One of my favorites is the Barracuda meat and Firehard Rise, which is actually pretty good gold, but there are some more in the game. Caledon Forest is one of the most nostalgic maps in the game for me, and there are two items here. The first is Caledon Lavender, which can be acquired during the Help Harvester Mavod, Manage the Kelp Harvest. This one is interesting because it can only be acquired while you are completing the heart, and picking them up will give you some completion progress towards the heart, meaning on a specific character, you can only ever get a limited amount of them. So a fun thing you could do while playing is to save all the Caledon Lavender you get while completing the task, and then selling them on the trading post for a tiny boost of gold. Elsewhere in Caledon Forest is the Help Yoao Weekend the Crate and Recover Kidnapped Hylic task, where you can get Hylic armor. This one is more expensive, and that is because it has a harder acquisition method, as the Hylic armor is only obtained from the crate chests that spawn. Just like the Caledon Lavender, the chest will disappear after completing the task, and opening the chest rewards progress, so you have a limited opportunity for this, but the armor sells for 10 times as much as the Lavender, so this one is more worthwhile. Moving north to the Kessex Hills, we have a more exciting item with crab meat. This is an item that is involved in the Help Dual Sleep Protect Moogulu Village task. This can be obtained by killing all the crabs around the lake. It is a guaranteed chance to get 1 crab meat per kill, so it is pretty consistent, and you can continue getting crab meat after completing the task, making this a farm that you can do forever if you wanted. Additionally, the crab meat shouldn't really be impacted by diminishing returns, because it is a task item you could hypothetically farm forever. This is basically the exact same system as the Barracuda meat and Firehard Rise, but crab meat is more expensive, so you can earn more gold per meat, but there are significantly less crabs here than there are Barracudas in the Highland Thaw. An additional item in Kessex Hills are the Seraph Badges. This can be picked up from Seraph Remains during the Help Sergeant Rain task. But just like our two examples in the Caledon Forest, you can only pick these up during the task, and it provides some task progress as you do so. But just like with the two in Caledon, you could hold on to all of these as you complete the task, and then sell them for a little gold. Moving far to the east and across the Shiver Peaks, let's go to the Fields of Ruin and take a look at pieces of Char Scrap Meadow. This can be acquired during the Help the Vanguard Stall the Ogre Advanced task. Now this item is really interesting because it only appears while you haven't completed the task, but it rewards no progress by picking it up. Meaning, hypothetically, you could collect however many of these you want, forever, for however long you want, but once you complete the task on a character, you lose access to this farm. Additionally, there are quite a few of these, and they spawn pretty quickly, so you can come up with a nice loop to consistently get these items. Unfortunately, they are pretty cheap, and there also aren't too many buy orders, so you may run out of opportunities to sell them, but it's just a very interesting idea for a farm. Now let's head to Mount Maelstrom, which is a very special map because we have a massive total of 4 items to talk about here. First are special routes. Now this one is a little interesting because it does play a part in the Helped Pack Soldier Secure Path to Ore task, but it is primarily a part of the Disguise Yourself and Gather Special Routes for Dresden's medicine event that goes on in this area. You can only get them during the event, but you can also get them even if you have completed the task. The one downside is if the event is ever completed, like by another player, you can't get them anymore until the event respawns. Next are supplies. This plays a part in the Help Zara Secure and Supply Gallant's Folly task, and can be found all throughout this area, and luckily for you, you can do this infinitely even if you have completed the task. But unluckily for you, there aren't too many of these you can find. Next are the Volcanic Earth Elemental cores, found from Enchanted Rocks and the Earth Elementals, during the Help Amber's Crew Defend the Lab task. These are pretty easy to get, and you can find a ton of them, but they're basically worthless and aren't really ever worth your time. And for the last item to look at, it is the Alpha and Beta Inquest control keys. These are obtained during the Help the Order Whispers Sabotage Inquest Weapon Tests task, and they simply drop from the Inquest in this area. There are a ton of Inquest, and these are pretty easy to get, but unfortunately aren't worth all that much, but are still a fun idea like the rest of the items we have talked about here. Now let's move on to another set of fun items that are interesting to talk about. In past videos, I have highlighted two important items, the Commissar's Manifesto and Rendak's Signet. These are two very rare but very high value items that drop from unique bosses that serve as a part in the Treasure Hunter achievement. But there are a bunch more that I think are fun, so let's highlight them. And to do so, let's go in order of general gold value, though the prices do always fluctuate. Breath of Kralkatorrik is a 1 to 2 gold item that can drop from the Shatterer. But bonus fun fact, it can also drop from the Death Branded Shatterer in Jahai Bluffs. Eternal Ice is a 2 to 3 gold item that can drop from the Svanir Shaman Chief Road Boss. Symbol of the Inquest is a 2 to 4 gold item that can drop from the Mark II Golem Road Boss. Taking a big leap in value, Olgoth's Tail is a 40 to 60 gold value item that can drop from the Olgoth the Modnir Road Boss. Climbing even higher, Rotbeard's Treasure is an 85 to 95 gold value item that can drop from both the defeat of the Risen Pirate Captain Rotbeard, as well as defeat the Risen High Wizard and secure the Promenade of the Gods events. Jumping in value yet again, we got All-Seeing, which is a 165 to 200 gold value item that drops from the Temple of Lessa meta event. Then again, jumping in value, we have Sam, which is a 265 to 345 value gold item that can drop from the Foulbeard Chieftain event in Fields of Ruin. Then, finally, with another big jump, we have the Pendant of Ara, which drops from the Eye of Zaitan event chain at the Jokapha Catacombs, which is worth around 350 to 450 gold. Fun fact, the total amounts of gold needed to complete the Treasure Hunter achievement ranges from 1300 to 1650 gold, plus some other currencies. In modern day Guild Wars 2, one of the biggest gold farming methods we see are event trains. Dragonfall and Drizzlewood Coast are two iconic examples of static farms that people spend a lot of time doing, but this idea can even become a more complex idea, like going from the Tequato World Boss to the Leyline Anomaly World Boss to the Chalk Garant, or any combination of events you want to do. When you look at vanilla maps in Guild Wars 2, this is something that is much less common. If you are a veteran player like me, you may remember some classic farm trains that rose to prominence with the introduction of champion bags. The Queensdale farm train was incredibly popular with so many people running it, which unfortunately, or maybe fortunately since it is a starter zone, got nerfed by having all the relevant champions turned into veterans. Another big farm from that era of the game is the Frost Gorge Sound 1. In the modern day, this is actually something that hypothetically can still be done, but it is just not all that popular given the fact that many other gold farming methods are much more lucrative and people would rather spend their time doing the better options. But one farm train that existed way back in the day that somehow still exists to this day, but in a significantly more diminished capacity, is the Cursed Shore farm train. This was just a popular map to run around on, complete events, and kill champions with, which coupled with some rare drops from the temples and gates of Ara can end up being pretty nice. I still see some people organizing groups, usually just to map chat every now and then, but compared to its glory days, it is significantly less popular. When it comes to road bosses in vanilla Guild Wars 2, Triple Trouble and Torquato the Sunless are above and beyond the most lucrative. But each road boss individually is definitely nice to complete at least once a day. For a small boost of gold, that is more meaningful than many other methods. With each road boss only giving loot once a day, doing the smaller ones outside of Triple Trouble and Torquato is a pretty popular train that a lot of people like to run. It is also a pretty casual one with pretty easy fights and some downtime between each one that will let you get some work done or participate in some other activity while you do so. Because of all of that, this has often been a recommended gold farm for brand new players to participate in as they learn more about Guild Wars 2 and before moving on to some other bigger things. I also want to take a moment to talk about the aforementioned Leyline Anomaly. This is something that I could have talked about in the Iron Marches, but was saving it for a future map, but we never got around to it. This boss spawns in the Timberline Falls, Iron Marches, and Gandharan Fields maps on a rotating schedule. Timberline Falls is the most popular because this boss spawns in this map first post reset, so you see the biggest influx of players here. It is a pretty simple fight and you get a handful of drops, but the biggest things are crystallized light energy, which is basically just 50 silver straight up, as well as a mystic coin, which can be sold on the trading post for around 2 gold at the time of writing this video. So because of those 2 items and some other things, this is a very popular boss to kill every day, especially since it only takes a couple of minutes to do so. I've spent a lot of time over the last few months killing many creatures to try to get good drops from them, including many Moa. I didn't keep track, but I am fairly confident I farmed at least 3 stacks of slabs of poacher meat throughout all the maps, which is the amount a player needs for the Orax manifested legendary back item. But there is one mob farm that I have been very interested in throughout this series, but never really got to, and that is large skulls. These are pretty expensive items that only drop from the Graw in Timberline Falls, as well as Frostgorge Sound. The price fluctuates, but they sell for around 25 to 35 silver each, and honestly, the drop rate isn't too bad, but the Graw also drop a bunch of other worthwhile items, which combined just makes this a pretty good gold farm, especially if you swap between the 2 maps. There's one additional thing that I want to point out, and that is quickly leaving Vanilla Guild Wars 2. Southland Cove is a very interesting map because it is just random without all too much going on. It isn't until Dry Top and beyond that we start seeing bigger things. In Southland Cove, we do have the Karka Queen world boss, which is definitely worthwhile to do, but all around the map are the different Karka that you can fight for a chance to get Karka shells. These are a pretty high value item that also drops pretty frequently and has historically been a bit of a popular farm for people to do. It has definitely been one I have liked over the years, but mostly because of the vibes. Especially before the introduction of Ember Bay and Sandswept Isles, there was something so cool about coming to this weird and unique map to fight an interesting creature that is only present here to farm a high value item that only drops from them. Moving on, I want to highlight one final thing. I've talked exhaustively about farming gathering nodes in the game because that is something present in every map. And once again, I will shout out Sparkfly Fen because what a zone that is. But I want to highlight one area in one map that is just a really good place to come to gather nodes that is also incredibly popular. In the Brisbane Wildlands, you can find the Gallow Fields in the northwestern corner of the map. And wow, there are a lot of gathering nodes here. Many lumber and plant nodes, but especially a bunch of iron ore, including a rich iron vein. If you're looking for some time to kill for a moment, coming to the spot and grabbing the nodes can give you a nice boost to your gold. When it comes to making gold in Vanilla Guild Wars 2, it is definitely not the best thing you can do in the game for gold, but it can be fun trying to find unique ways to make gold in unconventional ways, just for the fun of doing a challenge. When it comes to more optimal gold farms, there are many better gold farms that exist in the game, and I'm hoping as we transition into a new adventure through Tyria, we will have a better opportunity to look at some of the crazier things in the game and just make a ton of gold.